Hey, what's up? My name's Brandon.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And today we're going to be discussing all things virtual reality. Right? And before we jump right in, I think it makes sense to maybe talk about what VR is. There's a lot of terms out there. You'll hear things like augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. So what is virtual reality?
Right, so the defining feature of virtual reality is it's a fully immersive digital environment. So when you're in VR, you can't perceive the world around you, the physical real world. So you exist in a virtual world. So that's the foundation of VR. That's what defines it.
Right, you're fully immersed in a virtual environment versus like augmented reality and mixed reality. If I was to wear an augmented headset, I would actually see this room, right? I'll see my physical space, but I'll have digital objects on top of it.
Right.
So that's the big difference there, is that one blends reality with objects, and that's the augmented and mixed, versus virtual reality, which is a complete immersion in that space.
Right.
And so within VR itself, there's several options, which you see on the table here. And so one of the most basic options, and you may have even seen this yourself, are what are called Google Cardboard headsets. And so sometimes you'll find these in the mailbox or you'll see them at trade shows, but it's a really accessible way to get VR into the hands of a large number of people, right? And so the way these devices work is that rather than relying on a really powerful computer like this guy does, it really uses the computers that's in everybody's pocket, you know, your smartphone. And so through an app or a web link, we can actually upload 3D, 360-degree images. You can also view video on these guys. And you basically put your headset or your phone in here, strap it on, and then you're able to kind of look around these 3D environments, which is really cool. And the lenses within here actually add some level of depth, right?
Right, so the thing about VR that really is starting to create the immersion is it has stereoscopic vision, which means it's two different images which are slightly offset. What that does is it tricks your brain into perceiving depth. So that's one of the big changes and the big benefits of something like the Google Cardboard is it has a good sense of immersion, and it's quite common now. So the New York Times, YouTube, and Facebook all have 360-degree videos that you can view with your smartphone. So it's kind of the VR for the masses.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a really powerful tool. I mean, we've used this on projects before. We did this with Presbyterian for the first virtual reality groundbreaking in the state for the Santa Fe Medical Center. And so it was really neat. You could get these guys custom branded. So in that case, we had Presbyterian's logo. They had links to the website to actually download and view the experience. And as attendees showed up, everyone was handed their own headset that they could take home. And during the ceremony, you know, when the time came, everybody was able to put on the headset and actually see the project in a very innovative and new way. And these are a step above, I think, you know, a traditional like 2D image that you would normally see plastered on a billboard somewhere, right? And so again, you know, if you're looking for a project where you're trying to get a message out there to a larger audience, Google Cardboard is the way to go. So moving beyond this guy into the full VR headsets here. So our first exposure was probably about 2 years ago. We acquired this guy here, and this is the Oculus DK2. It was our first VR headset. One of the things that VR struggled with early was motion sickness, right? And a lot of that was attributed to, you know, the way that you moved and navigated through spaces. And so with the first VR headsets, you're often limited to something like an Xbox controller. And so, you know, as you're moving through the space, there's a bit of a disconnect there, right?
Right. And
so that led to motion sickness. But, you know, since then, you know, Facebook acquired Oculus for something like $2 billion, something crazy like that. And so since that point, the technology has really kind of changed at a rapid pace, and now we're at this guy. So what do we have here?
Right, so moving from the Dev Kit 2, which really was the start of the potential in VR, and Facebook saw that, bought Oculus, and all these other players like Google, HTC, and Samsung are moving into the VR market. So you have a lot of money going in, and a lot of companies are building it into their core business strategy. So it's moving from something that's peripheral to many industries to something that's going to be kind of a core component of a lot of different industries. So that's why we feel there's a lot of potential in this kind of technology.
Yeah, exactly.
So this headset in front of me, this is the Oculus consumer version, the Oculus Rift. Now, one of the real big important parts of this is there's a few main technologies that enable the depth of immersion that we've been trying to get for decades. The first is that it's quite comfortable. The screens are high resolution, so it gives you almost a photorealistic digital environment that you can interact with. So what this does is this not only tracks your orientation or where you're looking, but Oculus has these two sensors, and those track the headset's position in 3D space. So, if I'm in a digital environment, if I'm in virtual reality, I can lean over and look at something on the table, and that's what I'll see. So it immerses your body in the space. The next technology that's really a huge game changer is the motion controllers. Now, the first time I used these, I was really blown away.
Yeah.
We're used to spending our lives looking out at and having our hands in front of us. And as part of immersing kind of yourself in a virtual environment, these allow you to have hands in the virtual world. And not only that, they track perfectly. There's no lag. And also you can interact with stuff. You can reach out, you can pick up stuff, and that's a game changer.
Yeah, it just adds to that full level of immersion there. The sensors give you what's called room scale. So there is a range about 7 feet that you could physically walk around and move, like you said. But once they came out with the touch controllers, which was probably a year after these guys came out, right? That was the big game changer, because having the ability to have your hand presence, interact with that environment, just creates that level of immersion that really, that's what we think of when we think of VR, right? Virtual reality, having that ability to kind of jump in those environments. And so Mackenzie's been working with us for the past several months on developing our own VR template using game engine technology, which is something that, we obviously didn't go to school to become gamers. So we've gone through a pretty rigorous process of taking what are our Revit models, which we use to develop our robust kind of building information models, SketchUp models into this platform. So why don't you talk about maybe our VR template, some of its capabilities, and where we're going with this.
Sure. So we're developing a template where you can basically bring in any project and experience it in virtual reality. Not only that, what we're really going for is incredibly high fidelity, photoreal environments. So what we're developing with this set of technologies is an environment where you can not only walk through the space, but you can also interact with the space and experience it as it would be in real life, right? So a few of the features that we're developing, first is the ability to alter the environment in real time. And that's huge because traditionally we use 3D design programs, which may take hours to render out a single frame or a single photo. With the video game technology and the Rift, you can be in the space, and we're setting it up. I've designed it so that you can select an object like a wall, and you have a material palette show up. You can pick the material and it will update in real time. So this is really amazing for designers or for clients to be able to experience a space and say, yeah, well, what would that look like if it was marble or if it was concrete, and to be able to change that.
And that's something that's always been missing in our traditional kind of visualization deliverable, right? So you'd have your 2D graphics, your renderings, which were static, or an animation. But even within that animation, we controlled the camera, we controlled the movements, what you saw in that space. With VR now, you have free range to explore the environment as you see fit. So you can explore any room that you're interested in and actually get to experience it at a one-to-one scale as if you're standing there. Because, as architects, designers, landscape architects, we go through school, we're trained to be able to look at a 2D set of drawings and imagine ourselves in that space, where most people don't have that ability, and it's something that's learned. And so this kind of alleviates that. You really get that true immersion. So it's a really powerful platform that we're investing in.
Right, being able to bring people in and see their own project is quite powerful. Another thing that we're going to look into, and we can already do, is allow the user to change the time of day. So all the shadows update live. And then you add all sorts of movement, right? So trees and plants are like photorealistic. They move in the wind. You add sound effects so you can hear them rustle. And the sound is all 3D. So you can actually replicate hearing a fountain, and you turn your head, you can identify where it is, and it can kind of draw you through the space. So if you have these kind of non-visual elements of your design, you can actually communicate that to the user through VR, which is really powerful game changer in terms of user interaction and helping people understand the design and make changes to their design.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the VR template is geared more towards kind of like a final visualization. So, at some point during the process, you want to see what your project is really going to be like. This is the platform and way to do it. But as designers, we're also really excited about the technology as a design tool. So what we're using now is, some software that allows us to plug directly into Revit or SketchUp. And so without any modification, without doing the whole process of transporting to a game engine to get the photorealistic quality, we can get a pretty good level of immersion with the materials, lighting. And so just by connecting there, as we're designing, we could be in that scaled environment, making changes on the fly as if we're standing in the space, which is really powerful. And we're starting to use that more and more on projects. And as a client, if we're designing a project or working with you, just our day-to-day meetings can now incorporate the VR technology. So if you're just interested in wanting to see, the progress of the model, just ask and we can get you plugged into the Oculus. You'll be able to walk, navigate the project. But if you're also interested in, what is it really going to be like? What is the true space going to be? That's kind of our top tier visualization service, and we could do that as well.
Right, and that's really useful because you're starting to see more in terms of unit pre-sales. And being able to have customers walk through the unit or understand the space, before it's built, and it saves a lot of time because you don't have to build a physical, model unit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the past, if you're leasing maybe unit plans, you may build a physical mock-up of one space. And there's a substantial cost to doing that, right? But you're also missing all the variation that could be within that space. So if we're taking the unit plan, for an example, in the VR headset, these are jaw-dropping visuals. I mean, this is photorealism to the finest. And so you'll be able to model the different unit plans within your particular space, but we can take that a step further through our own in-house drone, videography and footage. We could, if it was a multi-story project, we could take the drone up, capture video from that window, and that person experiencing the VR of that particular unit plan will actually have their views, right? I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff.
That's pretty impressive.
And if you think about, design that whole construction window, which varies on every project, but it could be a substantial time, a year or maybe more. That time is valuable time that you could be selling these units. And if you have the ability now to actually see what it's actually going to be like, this is the best way to go.
Right, and so, between kind of this range of capabilities from the Google Cardboard all the way up to being able to view your project during the design phase in consultation with us, and then being able to produce, the photorealistic renderings, there's a lot of opportunity for exploration, for trying out new ideas, and for collaborating with us to kind of create the vision you want in VR or connect with clients or customers or staff or other designers. The opportunities are really immense and really exciting too.
Yeah, we're very excited about the technology. So if you have a great idea in mind, let us know. But really, just to summarize, again, you got an event, you got a lot of people, Google Cardboard's the way to go. If you're really interested in kind of capturing what the space is going to be in the best sense and full immersion, that's what the full VR option is for. And so it's an exciting technology. It's evolving rapidly. So we're always on pace, keeping up with the latest stuff. We're excited about the tool. So make sure to give us a call, drop us an email, like the video, follow us on social media, and stay tuned. I think we're going to try and update on more VR as it comes into the office, and we're happy to just have a conversation with you about your idea and maybe even get you into the office to try it out for yourself. So again, thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you very much.